Jason Whitlock, you know him, you love him from, Fox Sports, ESPN, back in the day, all those things. And of course, on the Blaze now, Blaze radio network and television network, Fearless with Jason Whitlock. Plus, he contributes great articles that are just really brave.
Very talented writer.
Yeah. And courage. Jason, welcome to the Pat Gray program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Happy Tuesday.
To you as well. Let's start with the article that kind of kicked this into gear, and it's fascinating to me, and I wonder what kind of feedback you get when you write things like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and the Super Bowl halftime show will be a celebration of lyrical porn and the satanic race religion. That is awesome and true, but what kind of, I'll bet you get some blowback, some serious blowback.
Yeah, I get what you would expect, but I've been getting it for so long, it doesn't feel like blowback. It feels like the wind's beneath my sail. So you got to turn a negative into a positive. And look, woke culture and, the left and this satanic culture that they're imposing on America, people, they got an army, they got a cult following that, anybody that doesn't hop on board with their narrative and their point of view is either, if you're black, you're either a sellout, you're an Uncle Tom. If you're white, you're racist, you're homophobic, you're one of those bad things. And, I try to tell people that my point of view is driven by, my football background and my church upbringing. It's really not political. It's just those were the things that were instilled in me at my church and playing football as a kid all the way through college. It's just a common sense approach to life. It's a belief that, I'm in control of my destiny, and the rest of the world, the way the world is going right now, it's like, man, we're not in control of our own destiny. The elites are in control, and we should just take whatever crumbs they offer us.
Absolutely. Walk us through the satanic race religion comment. How did that develop in your mind?
Well, just at some point, what I've come to accept and realize is that a lot of what the left is doing is satanic in nature. And I can't say that everybody involved in the left knows that that's what's going on.
Right.
But that is what's going on. And when you start talking about justifying all desires and everything has to be normalized, and when you start talking about the destruction of truth and the hostility towards truth, what God is about is truth.
Yes.
And when you're that hostile to truth, when all of your narratives are based on lies, to me, at some point, you got to say, look, this is satanic. This is just an affront to God. And so what the Bible teaches and what our worldview was for several hundred years here in America was that, limiting your desires and making, not giving in to all of your desires is what a Christian upbringing kind of taught you, is like a lot of your desires are not good.
Right.
They're actually evil and you must tame them. And we're living in a society now where, hey, if you feel like a woman, let's all make rules and laws that normalize that and make concessions to that. And so if tomorrow you feel like a dog or a cat, eventually we're going to get there and, change all the laws so the people that feel like dogs and cats can eat out of any dog bowl they see and
crawl through your little doggy door and your front door. Yeah.
Piss on fire hydrants and all that. That's all legal. And so we're just building a world view that, and I say this in all seriousness, like Aleister Crowley, the Saint this or whatever, it's that Do what thou wilt. And so whatever you desire, just do it. And, that ties into Nike and this globalist agenda. And none of this stuff, we start to, it's just an accident. And these aren't accidents. They're trying to build a world based on the philosophy of do what thou wilt. And they're having a lot of success with it right now, Pat. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I know. They sure are.
We're going for it.
Yeah. Tell me about the rap music and your thoughts on what rappers can get away with as opposed to anybody else in society. I mean, if you were to have tweeted a word that they use on a regular basis 5 or 10 years ago and somebody digs it up and you're done. You're canceled. But it's perfectly fine for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. And I think it's great that you compare them to Hugh Hefner and Larry Flint as being, basically lyrical pornographers.
Yeah, I think, look, what's the most downloaded or searched or thing on the internet? It's porn. And that's lowest common denominator. And again, men in a society that have gone as secular as we have is going to go for the lowest common denominator. And so the music industry kind of figured that out and said, we'll come up with a lyrical pornography. And people are...
It worked.
Yeah, it's worked beautifully. But what didn't happen for Hugh Hefner and Larry Flint is they were never mainstreamed into society and presented as legitimate or mainstream influencers or whatever. Hugh Hefner wasn't getting invited to the White House. Larry Flint wasn't getting invited to the White House. As it relates to rappers, we've mainstreamed them and baked them right into the top of the elite society, and they're legitimate influencers. They're getting invited to the White House, and I just find this amazing. And look, I'm not someone that doesn't understand the allure of pornography. I'm not some prude that, has never been to Pornhub. I'm just, Pat, I'm very transparent. I'm just not.
You are.
So same goes for rap music. But I just don't believe. And look, I've been to Hugh Hefner's house, or back when he was popular, and twice for parties. But I just never thought of Hugh Hefner as someone that needs to be at the forefront of American culture and mainstream to some legitimate person of influence. And let's sit down with Hugh Hefner and talk about political issues and social issues, and he's a leader, and he's got the solutions for police violence, and he's got the solution for this or that, like we've done with rappers. Rappers express prison values, misogyny, racism, everything. They denigrate black people, and somehow they're seen as, the top cultural influencers, and Jay-Z's now a member of the NFL and helping the NFL come up with policies and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how we have elevated these guys to a place of prominence we've never done with other pornographers. And, again, I'm someone that grew up as a kid listening to a lot of rap music. And again, I get the allure. Lowest common denominator works, but it should never be placed on a pedestal in a society that's trying to function in a non-chaotic way.
Yeah, which brings me to your latest article where you're talking about Randy Moss using John Gruden to take ESPN's Tears for Jeers campaign to the next level. You dig up 10-year-old John Gruden emails, and he's immediately canceled. I mean, just done right from the get-go. But others, like you just outlined, get away with it completely, and it's completely acceptable. Where do we go from here?
Look, the NFL just kicked John Gruden out for stuff he said in private emails that were never meant for public consumption. Go listen to Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, any of their music, all for public consumption. In Dr. Dre's last album, Eminem rapped that even the women that I rape have orgasms. He didn't say orgasms. But these guys say some of the crudest, vilest things in the world. And the NFL is going to make them the premier act at its Super Bowl. Yeah. They're going to put them in front of the largest audience that television has to offer. What they've said and the pervasiveness of what they said makes John Gruden look like a fly on an elephant's rear end. And so these guys are worthy of a Super Bowl platform. John Gruden must be canceled and removed from the NFL because of what was said in private emails. And then when this society we're building where there is no privacy, that everybody's emails and text messages at some point can and will be used against them. No, it's baffling to me that we're going for this, but we're going for it, Pat, and I'll try to tie it all together back to this whole packaging of all issues in race, that, LGBT issues are actually racial justice issues. Every issue is a racial justice issue, and we've turned race into this religion. And the highest form of the race religion is blackness, and you can't criticize anything that's packaged as black because therefore you're racist and you're booted out of the religion. Yeah. And this is dangerous, and people that have any type of biblical worldview, any type of Christian values, needs to recognize that Christianity or belief in God is being replaced by this race and political religions, and everybody's worldview. Their first thoughts are, okay, as a black person, how do I feel about this? As a Democrat, how do I feel about this? As a Republican, how I feel about this? We've gotten away from asking, as a Christian, as a believer, how do I feel about this? All these other things have been prioritized ahead of that, and that's why our society looks like Babylon.
Just to accentuate your point a little bit on how all of these things are black issues, it's fascinating to me when you go to the Black Lives Matter website and they talk about the destruction of the Western family as one of their goals, and I think they removed that eventually because it was biting them in the butt. But they also adopted virtually every LGBTQIA2+ cause that exists out there, and they just made it their own. How did that happen? Why are you embracing all of that too? That's a separate movement. Do you have to be linked with all of them? And apparently the answer is yes.
Yeah, the Democratic Party has framed blackness as a political ideology, and blackness isn't a skin color. It's a political ideology, and in order to be in good standing in blackness, you must swallow all Democratic policies. And so the Democrats are for abortion, and so even if you're black and you're raised in the church and your views are biblical, you have to abandon that and take on the Democrats' position that abortion is good. Yeah. And the slaughter of babies, and a high percentage of them black babies, those are actually good things. That's a positive. LGBT, regardless of what your church says about it, Democrats say this is good and you must hop on board with it, or you're not black. And so it's the most incredible thing that I've ever seen. And the fact that we have swallowed this all in the name of Barack Obama, because, idolatry is out of control in a secular society, and Barack Obama is, baby Jesus to a lot of people. And the fight for, again, this is all about a fight for power. And we've gotten wrapped up in that, and they're using race to hold on to power. They're using every issue to hold on to power. and it's, Pat, my parents have always been upset with me, friends. I've never voted because I don't like politics, and I don't want to be wrapped up in anyone's political agenda, and it's not. And again, I've been very transparent. It's not that I'm some prudish person that hasn't given in to some of the things that go along with the world or whatever. But I've just reached an age where I really just want to be good with God and, screw all the rest.
Great. Yep.
And we've just gotten away from that as a society. We want to make sure we're good with social media. We want to make sure that whoever these false idols are, LeBron James, and I hope they might retweet or like me, or hope they don't ever get upset with anything I say in a public space. And so none of our thoughts are related to what does God think, and did he retweet or like anything that I say? We're much more concerned with LeBron James and Christy Teigen and Alexander Ocasio. It's it's crazy, man. We're living in a crazy time.
Jason, thanks for all you do. It's so much better when it comes from you than Whitey, because Whitey is just a racist if he says any of these things. But you can make it stick. Do you get the sense that there are more blacks in the community that are turning around and realizing what is going on and how the left has used them for centuries now? Is it turning around at all?
I do, Pat. Yeah. I think, Pat, and I wrote about this last week, talked about it. What Dave Chappelle did in his comedy routine was pretty eye-opening. I think it's the first time that black people are like, well, hold on. Dave Chappelle has actually talked about the LGBT movement and how it has been prioritized well ahead of black people, and whatever our concerns are, it's been prioritized well ahead of that. And I think that
question,
him saying that from that platform, I think is one of the few times where black people as whole, like, well, what is Dave getting at? And it's like their minds have been open that perhaps we're being used. And so when I see someone like Dave Chappelle show the kind of courage and brilliance that he showed in his last Netflix special, it gives me a little hope that, if he's got the courage to say that, his fingers are in the air and saying, you know what, people are ready to hear this. And so I do think there's an opportunity for people's eyes to be awakened to what's really going on.
It's Fearless with Jason Whitlock, and you will find out that the show is aptly named. Jason, thanks for coming on. Appreciate all you're doing.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.